Okay, it is start time. Want to welcome everybody to Snowie's, I think this is number 6 webinar. The topic of conversation for this week is going to be our permanent or stationary locations. What we'll be walking through is the benefits of locations versus other approaches and other avenues of business, a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what to look for when you're looking for a stationary location. I'm going to show you a couple of, we're going to go to Google Earth and look at a couple of locations that will give you a good idea of what we're talking about. So we're going to walk through the rules, and then we're going to come back and actually look at a location and see how all those apply. And then we'll talk a little bit about what you need to do in preparation for that, talking about permits and contracts and those kind of things. Aaron is, as any have done our seminars up to this point, Aaron is our techie, and he is on the road doing it from his phone. So we're going to do this a little bit. Oh, you with us, Aaron? So we're going to be doing this.
I am.
I need to prep it. We've been having some computer problems on my end. If I do cut out, Aaron will be taking control. So just keep that all under advisement if my computer freaks out on this end. Stationary locations. Why do we want them? And probably an easy way to start with this, I'm going to show you just a couple of locations. This happens to be one of the nice things about a Snowie building, if you're not familiar with them. It is a self-contained, acts as a trailer. We can take the wheels off, tow hitch off, and set it right on the ground. This location happens to be at an outdoor mall called Newport on the Levee. It's one of the largest tourist attractions in the greater Cincinnati area. And it allows people to walk up at any time. It's always there, kind of just a general fit across the board. Here's another example of one. This sits in a shopping center. We're going to actually look at this location from the air and be able to see where it's located and how it applies. But so when we talk about a stationary or permanent location, this is what we're talking about. You can see here we have a freezer that is brought in. I need somebody to mute a mic. It's a little noise on that end. I can't mute it from mine. Aaron, the techie, is gone, so we're asking everybody to please control because I have no control over it. You will see in here, we've talked about events where you're offering 6 to 10 flavors as opposed to what we have here. As you look through the window there, I actually have 54 different flavors, 55 different flavors that are in the building. And with combinations and that, like one of our most popular flavors is called PMS, which is peach, mango, strawberry. A very successful mix for us, but we actually offer 80 different flavors. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. Yeah, too grainy, but this is a menu sign that has all 80 flavors, and somebody sees, what is bug juice? And it'll say, we have a thing on there that discloses it. And we'll get into the management in another one. I just wanted to give you kind of a brief exposure of the different flavor, or the setups and what they are. Now, what do we look for when we look for a location? There are 7 or 8 different things that we're going to look for. First one, obviously, is electricity. Now, what does that mean? In electricity, what you're looking for is you either need to have a 220 volt setup. If you're wanting, as we have here, you want to be able to have a freezer and you want to have the air conditioning running, you're going to have a 220 volt. The shaver, the lights will all run on a 110 volt system, but you got to have the 220 to drive everything. Or you can have 2 separate 110 volt circuits but they must be 20 amp circuits as well. So a 220 20 amp or 2 110 volt 20 amp. And I grabbed this picture for the reason you see this box right here that I'm clicking on or pointing at. That box, can't quite get it to the center of the screen, that has on it an electric panel. You can't see right there is a meter box, and next to it is an electric panel, and then we plug in a line, run it over, and then we use what are called drive overs. So people can walk over it. Cars can drive over that and not affect that in any way. So it allows you to have that power source. We've had that run from a telephone pole, put it in. I get asked, how much does that cost? Depends on how good you know the electrician and what the requirements are of the local utility company. I typically pay in the $1,200 to $1,500 to have an electrical panel installed, and then we hook into it. When you're getting into something like that, I will tell you, okay, again, someone is making a ton of noise. If you could please, I don't know what you're doing on that end, but
it's Dennis. If you have an option to mute, it's actually we're getting the feedback from your mic. Thanks.
How in the world do you know that? Oh, his name pops up. Hey, look at that. Thanks. Learning all kinds of things. Okay, we'll get asked about, and this can be a conversation one-on-one when you get into a location, but you'll notice as I mentioned here, I'm tying into an electric panel rather than having the electricity hooked directly to the building. If you hook the electricity directly to the building, you have to not only have a different kind of permit, but it also requires that the building pass all the electric code for all the building construction in that particular area. Much easier to put a meter in, that's what gets inspected, and then they don't care what plugs into the meter. So it's just a simpler, easier way of doing that. Second item, high visibility. When we talk visibility, you want to be 200 to 300 yards in each direction. And again, I'm going to go in and show a screenshot using Google Earth on how that is. Use of windsock. That sounds kind of funny, but I've had cities that have told me I'm not allowed to use the windsock. So when I'm in here, I'm looking, I want to be able to have that windsock going. That's my signature mark. That's how people know that we're open. I have parents that have actually, where this location is, they'll go a different route just to avoid going by, because they know if that windsock's up, the kids are going to say, "Daddy, Snowie's open, we got to stop." And they said, I don't have time, I don't have money, whatever the reason. They said, we're avoiding your place. Obviously they're saying it jokingly, but it is a huge attention getter. And it's real hard to see it because there's shots during the daytime, but if you're looking at that screen, you'll see right there in the lower point, it's real bright right there. There's actually a light inside the mist sign. That tube will light up at night. You can see that thing forever. I mean, it's just another great little design to improve and make it easier. The next item, so again, visibility, I want to be able to see that windsock, and especially now that I've got 200 to 300 feet in both directions, makes that all the simpler to be able to do it. The next is easy access. I want to be able to get into the location, that somebody sees it, oh, I want one, they have to turn. If they've got to drive down a quarter mile, turn in, come back, too much work. We are an impulse buy. We need to make it simple, fast, easy, or they're not going to work at getting there. It's not worth it to them to come get a $2 or $3 snow cone. Are there some customers? Yes, but the majority are not interested in a difficulty of getting there. They want to be able to just have the impulse, drive in, jump in, and do business immediately. Number 5, community traffic. There are 2 types here I've listed, commuter and community. You can get on a street that is super busy, but it's people going to work, they're coming back, it's the adults only. I'm looking for mom is going, shopping at the grocery store. This happens to be a good picture. I've got here, you can see I've got a Target in the background. So I've got this Target over here. I've got a Goodyear. You can't see to the left. There's some restaurants. Oh, now I've lost control of my screen. There we go. Here is a Kroger grocery store, and then farther to the right is a Shoe Carnival, a TJ Maxx. There's a Hallmark in there. So this is a community center where I've got families coming into this. That I've got from little kids across the street is an auto repair, a Starbucks kind of thing. So it feeds the community. I've got tons of traffic past it, but it's all types from mom and kids, teenagers going to the movies, running to soccer games, doesn't matter what it is, most of the traffic, the community is driving by me at one time or another. I don't want the workers because they're not going to stop, and it's the target market is not little kids. The target market is teenagers, and that's what we're looking. Do I sell a lot of adults and kids? Yeah, but we're looking for those teenagers. Number 6, traffic light. If somebody cruises by, it doesn't matter how good the visibility, if they're passing you at 40 miles an hour, they're stopping. It's not worth the time for them to turn around and come back when they're cruising past. If they have to stop at a traffic light, they look over, they see the Snowie and go, hey, that sounds good. They jump off. They're already stopped. They're already going slow. So traffic light slows the traffic down, gives you more time for them to see you and more time to respond to that impulse to come in. The next one is the parking lot layout, and you're going to see that. I have the little drawings here, the A and B. B is what you do not want. Get my highlighter out here. Actually, they have this, learning my new tools. Notice the building, my front of my building is right here. So when we're in this and somebody wants to come up to a snow cone, they've got to park back here behind me, and then they got to get out, come walk around, and then stand out front to do it. Now I've got my customers are standing in a spot where traffic is driving. The other is I'm also, this distance here is all distance off the road. Typically a drive like that is going to be between 20 and 30 feet depending on the regulations of the city. So that puts me another 20 to 30 feet back off of the road. Now, the other location that you see here in the drawings, in this one, the front of the building again, is right here. And what we do with the front of the building is I'm closer, but I also have the added benefit that I have a drive up here. This happened purely by accident for us. At the customers, I had an employee accidentally left the door open while they were doing some stuff, and a customer pulled up and wanted to buy a snow cone. And we had so many customers, he called me and said, I can't even get the door shut. I've had so many customers stop that we just ended up cutting a window in the back and putting a roller window, or cutting a hole in the door and putting a roller window in, and now have access to view that. I don't know if you can see it in this picture. You can tell a little bit. That's the window right there. I'm looking through the glass, but there's a window going through that's on the back side of this building. So we have customers can literally just pull up and do it from the back, or they can park and come around to the front. So what you're looking for in that drawing, as we were talking about, you want to be able to have parking places on both sides here, and then customers can walk up. My biggest problem with the walk up was we had customers actually try to drive through the front too, so we finally put picnic tables in to stop them. Always interesting to see what people will do. But the drive up, I've noticed 2 benefits. I probably do on average between 40 and 50% of my business is drive up. If it starts to rain, in the past you could just close your doors because people aren't going to get out and come around to the front, stand in the rain to get a snow cone. However, they will drive up. Sorry, just had somebody walk in my place. We will, during the rain, I probably do 90% of my business, even if it's just a mist going on. But now I picked up a whole slew of business in the rainy weather that I, in the past, have just closed the doors and never gone. So it gives you a new opportunity to do that. The last item on there is foot traffic. And that's simply, if you've got people wandering around, they're going by slowly, you got even more time for the impulse. So if you can find a location, do you have to have all of these? No. Obviously electricity, yes. You do not want to run on generators on a daily basis for an entire summer. You will get tired of that, it gets old, and a lot of work. You'll be ready to be away with it in no time at all. The visibility is critical. Use of windsock, that's a judgment call. I've had one location, to give you a contrast there. We set up a location, put the windsock on, and they came to us and said, you've got 24 hours to remove that. You're going to start being fined $200 a day. We were selling about 200, 200 and a quarter a day. When the windsock was taken down, our sales dropped to about $100 a day. We closed the location, told the city, sorry, no more employment of teenagers. It's ridiculous. Sometimes you win it, sometimes you don't. But I would have to have a lot of faith in a location without the windsock. It would have to be perfect on everything else. But the windsock to me is huge because it gets the attention that's our open sign and does real well. Let's jump over to Google Earth. This happens to be, and I'm going to scan in here a little bit, that right there is the Snowie building. Had to laugh that they had this set up. So you are going to be able to actually see, this is my picnic table right here, and you'll see the little drive over right in front of that. So I'm going to go down that list of 7 things that I had just highlighted of what we wanted you to look at. First was power. Again, I like to use the remote setup for that. With the separate meter boxes we talked about. Hard to tell it from here, but right there is my meter box. And I plug into that, electricity runs through the grass, through that drive over, and is up underneath the building. I got to go back and remember the order I put these in. High visibility. It's hard to tell it from here, but if you're looking, if a car is driving, coming from the right-hand side, the customer's coming from here, they can actually see me. We walked the distance, or measured the distance off, and it's right at 250 yards. Going the opposite direction, I can be seen is actually, try to get that right in here, this is line of sight the entire length of this location. So back here is a main thoroughfare. This is about almost a quarter mile from this spot here, that intersection that you're looking at right in the screen, follow that intersection down to where our building sits, and I have that visibility for a quarter mile. You can see that windsock the entire drive, and makes it simple, easy, highly visible. Use of windsock, that's pretty self-explanatory. Easy access. This location, when somebody pulls in, they can pull in as they're passing by. If they're coming from the left, when they drive in, they see that. They can turn in here, swing around. Get my highlighter here. So if they're driving, they can turn in here, come around, come in this way, and they're at the Snowie. Or they can come this way, swing around, come in, they're at Snowie. There's another entrance. Can't see this, just down a little bit below it. So the simple is 90% of our business, or 95% of our business, comes off these 2 drives. Very simple, easy access in. The distance back here is probably about 150 feet. So I'm not even 100 yards. I'm about 50 to 75 yards to get to that location. Next, community traffic. I don't know if Google shows this. Okay, I got a Mexican restaurant here. I have Staples. I have a salon and day spa. Michael's, which is arts and crafts. I've got a travel agency. Back here is a grocery store. I've got another grocery store. Right out here is Orange Leaf, a yogurt place. There is a Panera Bread right there. I've got a hair salon. I've got Starbucks is there. Massage Envy. What do we have? Oh, real estate. On the other side are banks. Weight loss clinic. I got a McDonald's. Surprised McDonald's doesn't show there. So I've got restaurants across the street. These are all apartment complexes. So it's just, this is right in the heart of a community. If you look out here, there's another big shopping center here. This is the main freeway through Cincinnati. So we're about 1.5 miles off the freeway. But a lot of community around there. Normal traffic, I'm not getting the commuters. Parking lot layout. Let's see if I can get back in here. Try to get a little closer layout of this. I don't know if you'll be able to see the parking lot lines. Yeah, you can. Here's the lines so you can see the cars parked, and again the front, and then I will have customers that routinely will drive up, they get their snow cone, and then away they go. And so we do have that drive up capability on the back. Right here on the side, the Y a little bit odd shape, that's the freezer, and then you got a shadow on the other side. Okay. I'm going to jump to the other location. Now, give you an idea, that first location that we looked at, what we call Hyde Park. Hyde Park does about, typically I'm 40 to 45,000 a year in sales on it. This location, Cherry Grove, this one will average around 60,000. Our high has been 71,000 in a year. Our low has been about 48. But I stay pretty consistent in the 55 to 65. This is our 9th year at the location. Continues to do the numbers. The building itself is sitting right here in the center of the screen. And we're going to just walk through all the same issues. Right there is the meter box. This is the one we did the picture of. When I'm looking at this is the location that you're looking at. So we're standing out next to the street taking this snapshot. So when I talk about the building and then the meter box, that'll be it there. Okay, so I was standing, if I was gonna, I think I was standing about right here when I snapped that picture. Our picnic tables, again, the freezer box, you'll notice the parking lot layout. We're gonna have the same things. I missed on the other one showing where the traffic light, it was in close proximity, but on this particular one, I have a traffic light right here, and I have a traffic light right here. So I've got traffic stopping coming from both directions. Access in, there it's Snowy, coming from either direction again, access in, and there it's Snowy. So simple, fast, easy access. We talked about what kind of things, as I mentioned as I was looking at the pictures. I've got the Kroger's. Now this shows a bank in here, but it's a Kroger's grocery store. There's a Hallmark. Hancock Fabrics is in here. A bank in there. This is the Shoe Carnival. There's TJ Maxx. Tire discounters. We got Skyline Chili. If you don't know what that is, you'd have to come to Cincinnati and experience. Smoothie King is there. I've got Chipotle is right in the area. So you got a good mix of businesses, just standard traffic driving in and out. Proximity to freeways. I do have a freeway here. Movie theaters are just north of us there. I got a large community on both sides, have high schools. Within a 8-mile radius of this, I've got 4 high schools that access to us, so we do pretty well with that.
Hey Lyle.
Yeah.
Quick question. Jay's asking if you have it there year-round or just there during the summer months.
I only have it there for the summer months. We open, and thank you, Aaron, I'm forgetting to look at that. I get talking about what I'm doing. There's a couple of things. I put that on location April 15th. and we start posting on that on Facebook when we're going to open, so people know when Snowie's going to be. You know, they see the building. And we have competitors that they put the location and they leave it there year round. Well, when they go to open, nobody's noticed anything. They're so used to it being there, it doesn't mean anything when they open. When the Snowie building goes away, people are like, "No, I've lost Snowie. Oh, you need to bring it back." And you know, we got our few addicts, but most of them are like, "Oh man, winter's here." When we bring that back on April 15th, everybody's just, it's like an event. Snowie's back. Man, summer's here. They all want to do that. And so by bringing it back or taking it away is, you know, they say the best way to sell something is to take it away from people. They want it more. So in the wintertime, I don't want that building left there. It gets taken, put in storage, protects my decals, and then when I do bring it back, now it's something new again in the area and excites people to what they're seeing with that. So good question. Did I hit all the points with this location? Community traffic, traffic lights, parking lot layout. Yeah, again, the layout as we've talked about here, you can see the drive-through capability. Customers are not standing where the drive is. They're out here, parking on each side, and they can stand in front. And you see a pair of picnic tables in front of the building as well with that. How much time do I have left? I got 3 minutes. Okay. Permits. What I have here, when I'm talking to somebody, I have a little thing that I send to them saying, when we say, you know, why Snowie? And it talks about our visual image, the cleanliness, the quality of our product, our reputation as a company, things we do in the community, recognition, where we hire our employees from, our commitment to the industry, our financials, compliance with all the different requirements, and what are the things we worry about most? What are the ethics of us as a company? Just something to try to set us apart a little bit as we do that. I obviously will, depend on what I'm doing, I click a couple of different pictures. They want to see what we look like at night, and these are small, these are easily emailable. They're not, that's why it was grainy when I tried to blow it up. Buildings from different locations. I like to show people out front. It shows them, kids coming in, you know, this happens to be a sports team that was there. So you get a pretty good mix with it. I also like to send with it a lease agreement. They're not used to somebody actually coming in and having an agreement already, you know, that they can use this, and you can tweak it, put in your own company, their address, you can put it in whatever percentage. Like you'll see here, I have $300 a month for a rent. I also down here, I have a thing of we'll pay a percentage. You get a lot of places, they'll say, hey, I want, you know, we want $1,000 a month, and it's like, look, I don't even know if the location's going to do well. I don't want to give you $1,000 and have this thing be a waste. How about I do something positive for both of us? I'll guarantee you 300, but if I do above, and I actually have increased this now to 5,000. The 3,750 is 300 times the 8%. That's where I came up with 3,750. So if I do above 3,750 a month, then I'll pay you 8% of whatever I do there. So if I do 10,000, then you're going to get $1,000, or I'm sorry, $800 instead of 300. So it's commensurate. So the better we do, then they've got an upside. If it does terrible, then we're protected against that. The other thing this contract does, is it goes through, talks about insurance, deposits. We keep the place picked up. There's the insurance there. We have here an opt-out 15 days that I can, if I don't like it, I've got a chance to jump out. Also, if I can't get, this is a biggie. People say, well, I sign a contract, and then what if I don't get the permit? We have built into it, if I am not able to obtain all the necessary approvals and permits, then the contract is null and void, as well as all the obligations with it. So it hits all the key points that they're interested in, and we sit down, figure out a location, get a site plan from them, and then you got to go in and file for your Oh, I have a 30-day in here. I actually changed that to 15 days. So we can opt out. But you get a copy of this you'll need, and then you go in, they'll give you an aerial view. Usually they have what they call a site plan that has the entire property, and it's on a 2-foot by 3-foot site plan. You take it into the zoning or building department, and they say yay and give you a permit, and you're in business. Okay, that's kind of the overall. I think what I want to do now is throw this out to questions. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. Looks like, Jay, you've got a question. How did you get this location contract, and who did you have to approach to get it? Oh, I just crashed my computer. Aaron?
Okay.
Take it.
Okay, everyone, sorry about that. I'm going to actually mute Lyle. It sounds like we're getting buzz now from him. All right. So go ahead and answer the questions. I am, let's see here. Is everyone seeing my screen? Looks like, oh yeah, it is showing screen. So actually, I was just going to show you this as well. It's not answering Lyle's specific question on that, but I kind of like this. This is a location that I'm getting in Arizona right now. And they go through a checklist of everybody who is to be in this mall and everything that we need in order to do it, which is good, because when you're working with something that's out of your state, out of everything that you're comfortable with, it's totally different. There's even things that they don't require that really the city kind of requires, but the mall specifically doesn't necessarily need that. But it's good to be able to know what those things are anyway, so you're able to get them and know that you're in good standing with everyone that you need to be. And if I was to say that, let's see, I'm going to your question here. How did you get this location contract? Who did you have to approach to get it? If I was to say this one, we went to the mall, the manager over the mall, the company, the leasing company that's over that, which is anyway, it's Simon is the company, the mall management, and we just went directly to them and talked to them. Malls are a bit easier because they're used to being approached like that. If you looked at a supermarket, we always just walk in and we talk to the store manager, and sometimes the store manager will say, you know what, you guys need to speak with corporate, and then that puts you on a whole other venture, and now you're speaking with corporate. It is always an advantage to go to the store manager. I've heard of multiple Walmarts where Walmart basically made a corporate policy, no more mobile vending in front of a Walmart. And so we were like, oh, that's a bummer. Walmarts were really good locations. And then all of a sudden we had all these new customers doing Snowie in front of Walmarts. We're like, how did you get that? And they said, we just went to the store manager, and they were able to make their own decisions and move forward on it. So it's always good to go to the local resource first. And also something that I bump into is there's companies that will have, again, corporate policies that they won't allow any, but they always have an adjacent company next to them. Go talk to those companies. Like we have a supermarket here called Albertsons, which is now changed to Fresh Market, but they had a company policy that nobody could put a stand in their parking lot either. And so we would go to Rite Aid next door, and Rite Aid was yes every time. So, and you can go across the street. You can always chase like a really popular area from different ways, different avenues. Lyle, are you back at all? I don't think he's back yet. So, and this is a kind of a question and answer period. I actually muted. Sorry, I muted Dennis earlier. So now everyone is unmuted. Does anybody have any questions right now? We're trying to keep these, just so you have a heads up, we're trying to keep these to 30 minutes so they're easier to watch after. But we can basically have this question and answer session go as much as you'd like. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I'd like to know which size booth was that they had in Cincinnati in the parking lot. Which booth was that?
So they have an 8x5 in Summertime, and I'm getting a little feedback from you, sorry. So it's an 8x5 foot building, so it's 8 feet by 5 feet, and then he also has another 10 foot by 7 foot. So the one that looks a little more deep and broad, that one is a 10 by 7. The one that looks more shallow, that's a 5 foot. It's 5 feet deep and 8 feet long. And
I'm back, Aaron.
okay.
I'm just in on audio.
Hey, yo, you're on audio? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to bring up an image here. And because I have Lyle's
Get
building.
back on. I don't know why my computer, the only time it crashes is when I do these webinars. I wonder what that says.
Oh, okay, so you had a question. They had a question on what size your building was. Oh my gosh, and then I closed it. Sorry about that.
On those two, they were the 10 by 7. They were the 10-foot building. Both locations started with an 8-foot building. I put this 8-foot out there till I got an idea of what kind of business. When I saw that the capacity where there were times I needed 2 people working, and I wanted to be kept a little more supplies so I wasn't having to run there every couple of days because it was busy. With a 10-foot, I can fit enough supplies to last me 4 to 5 days without any problem. That I then bumped it up to a 10-foot, and then I took that 8-foot and started looking for another location for it. And so it's one of those you just build over time, but everything started with 8-foots, and then when I get a new location, I get a 10-foot to go there and use the 8-foot at the new location.
Perfect. I wanted to touch base on it too. Actually, it's a great question, Jay. Do you earn more from stationary or temporary locations? And I'm going to have Lyle answer this as well. But
what was the question?
What's that?
Well, I missed the question. Say that again.
No, the question is, do you earn more from stationary or temporary locations? So, in my perspective, that's why we wanted to do a feature on each kind of business type. Because stationary is awesome. It's like you don't make as much at every given time. Like at an event, you could go and you could make $10,000, say, at an event, and that's awesome. But if you only have that one event, then that's your summer. So obviously, and that's a big event, by the way. That's huge. But you have this building that's sitting in a supermarket, and you have employees, and it more or less runs itself. I mean, I always tell people, man, don't neglect it. We don't want to make it sound too easy. You still have to take care of it, make it clean, make it sweet, make it presentable, keep that thing stocked. But you could actually be doing other things. You could be chasing events with a kiosk while your building is sitting in the supermarket making money. So like we always say, they average between $30,000 to $50,000 per summer in a supermarket parking lot. I think, Lyle, did you say this one? I don't know if it was this one specifically because I didn't have the video at the time, but you said it did like 45,000.
I have one that does, yeah. The first one I showed was 40 to 45. The other one was about 60. Oh, the one you got pulled up, this one does about 60.
Oh, this one's a $60,000 location.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so that's awesome, and you can't. That's a fantastic location, and you don't want to neglect that. That's why we always say, man, chase both avenues. Get started with one and then move into the others as well, because events are great, and events have good chunks of money. But if you only have a couple of events, then obviously that doesn't support you as much. So we always say chase both.
Part of that location, or the question, the nice thing about the stationary is it's earning money no matter what I'm doing. I'm sitting in my warehouse doing paperwork, and it's earning money. When I'm at an event, I'm chasing ice. I'm there dealing with refilling flavor stations. Some of the employees can do it, but I'm having to go set the equipment up, tear it down, I put this location on, and I can go, other than for deliveries, we don't stop in at, I've got kids that do the deliveries for me, so I might go a month and not even go to the location. Now, I'm putting a lot of trust in my management crew to the kids that are doing the deliveries, and they check everything out. But I stop by about every 2 weeks, and I do an inspection, make sure all the lights are working and things are being kept clean, kind of things. But they just generate constant, and that's the nice thing. Events, it's hit and miss. The weather can destroy you. You get a bad weekend. Well, like right now, Cincinnati's having nightmare weather. We get 80s all week long, and it drops into the 70s or even 60s on the weekend, or it rains. Got it again this weekend. So I'm still earning money during the week with the buildings, but my events are bombing on the weekend. So it's a balance. I love having both, because I also stick in here, there are flyers advertising the bus, having Snowie come to your birthday party. We've got rental units, da-da-da-da-da. So they're my best advertising for events as well. So it's a constant feed. I love having both. But profit-wise, typically off a building, you're probably working on a 35 to 40% profit. Events, you're usually working on about a 50% profit.
Great. Hey, Lyle, Jay is asking if that is net or gross, your 60,000.
That's gross sales. My profit off that runs on mine, because I'm paying kids to do a lot of the work. I pull off of that. I'll make about 20,000 or about 22,000 profit. I pull about a 35% profit.
Okay. And then we have a question from Dennis. Dennis, are you wanting to speak, or sorry? Just want to make sure. I'll read the question. When you want to locate in a strip mall, so basically if you want a location in a strip mall with a Walmart, do you approach the tenant, or do you approach the owner of the property? It's always been it's always been both for me. Like they'll direct me to who I actually need to speak with. If I'm speaking with a supermarket, usually those guys can make the decision. Sometimes I have to go to the people who actually own the land, the property.
Aaron,
yeah.
The picture you're on, can you blow that up right in the middle? What you're going to see there, you'll see the little strip sign for lease has a phone number. That's who manages the property. That's who I approach.
Yeah, so that's
called Regency Centers. I started with them. Who does the leasing, and said, I want to do a lease. And they're like, oh, okay. And they'll talk. Sometimes they got to go to a property owner. Some stores, Walmart has a lot of very specific rules if you're within a certain distance of their store. I don't know what their distance is. If Walmart has control, they want 20% of your gross. They're very expensive to do it. I try to keep my rent about 10%. I find a Walmart is just high cost, and you don't make the margins, but you get a good volume of people. But I still think it's thinner margins. I'd rather find something. Kroger's, I can't be within 500 feet of their stores. So different stores have different rules and regulations.
Yeah, and speaking of Kroger, like Kroger, we have an offshoot of them called Smith's here, and they're very happy to have shaved ice. So it changes on location as well. So make sure you always approach them. Have a question from Ron. I've been unable to convince the health department that I need to take the wheels off. I've found a supermarket that will be my commissary. Would you leave the wheels on and remove the tow bar?
First off, like we do at Advance, Aaron.
What's that?
What he's saying is like we do at Advance, where we pop the tow hitch off and stick the metal blocks under it.
Right.
I get the tow hitch off just from a safety viewpoint.
Yeah, and we actually, just so you know, Ron, what we've done as well. Well, if it was, can it stay there? That question's kind of hard for me, because it's like, even though it's on wheels, are you leaving it on site, or do you have to take it off premises each and every night?
I would leave it on site. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
I would leave it on site. It's just like this TJ Maxx location that you've got here. And, you know, they said that I could leave it right there. It's just the health department says if you take the wheels off, you end up having to have a restroom and piped in
Why?
water, so forth.
Did they give a reason why the wheels have to be on to do that? Or to bypass that?
Yeah. So if I leave the wheels on, I can put the blocks underneath where the wheels are also, and not even have them touching the ground, maybe.
Yeah, it's just that you're sitting 6 inches off the ground.
I know. Yeah.
This particular location, the TJ Maxx one we're talking about, that's sitting there on the screen, the way I got around that is I licensed the building as a trailer. And I said to him, if it's licensed as a trailer, what does it matter whether I take the wheels off or not? And they went, well, I guess it really doesn't. And that's how I got around it. They couldn't view this as a trailer. And when I showed them the license saying, look, it's a licensed trailer in the state of Ohio, they went, okay, then I guess it's fine. I just don't see why taking wheels off changes anything. Did the building change? Did anything change? Am I doing anything different? All I'm doing, I put it on the ground. It's actually safer than sitting on wheels if a good windstorm comes through. Yeah, actually, I got a guy. At first, I thought you were him having fun with me. We've got a guy that owns a building that's on wheels because of the health department, and they made him put it on casters. And a windstorm came through and blew it over a pier and flipped the building over, totaled it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I told him he needed to build a health department for that one. Thank goodness for insurance.
See, and I've had it in locations here where they've said I needed to keep it on wheels, but they also said that I needed to take it off premises each and every day. But yeah, I would say if it's staying there, that's a little bizarre to me because you're almost, I mean, it's just safer all around to have that thing off of its wheels if it's staying there.
But the only way I know to do that is licensing it as a trailer was a solution for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it will work, but yeah, these people dream up these rules. Tell me how having it on wheels and not having it on wheels changes anything.
Yeah.
Just because I can pop them off and I'm going to put them back on and it's going to be gone at the end of the summer. I can have this building up and gone. Literally, we can pack this building up and be gone in less than an hour and you'll never even know we were there. I mean, we need to do a video of that sometime, Aaron. So from start to finish, the setting up of a Snowie building.
At a permanent location?
Yeah, like this. I have 2 gals helping me. We pull this to a site, disconnect it from the truck, and an hour later we're driving away with the building completely ready to go and operational.
Yeah. Yeah.
Models in place, all of that. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Could you have a location like this and use the bus and drive it off site every night? My answer to that is yes. I know people who are doing that with the bus, and I also see food trucks constantly doing that, where they'll find locations and they actually make their rounds. That's kind of a cool thing with the bus as well, is if you look at a lot of the food trucks, they have this tweet trend going on where they'll tweet their locations so everybody can anticipate, kind of like how Lyle was mentioning earlier. It creates a customer base. When you take the product away for a winter, then all of a sudden when that comes back, it's like exciting. You can have that each and every day too with something like a bus where you can say, hey, we're going to be at this location for 2 hours on this day. And you have Twitter subscribers and things like that that can be notified of that. Then they're all waiting for you and show up at that time. It's kind of a fun thing with that as well. But
yeah, it's a double-edged sword because it gives you the mobility and you can take it, you know, whether you're looking at it from a safety perspective or you want to use it for other things. But the other side is people aren't quite sure when it's there. The nice thing, like this location, our hours here are 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day, except Sunday we're noon to 11. And I have employees that they call me at 10 o'clock and it's like, I haven't seen a customer in an hour. Why am I, why are we staying open? And I'm like, you know what, call me back at 11 o'clock and let me know how you did. And it's uncanny how many people show up at 10:45 because they know we're open till 11 and we're always there. It's not going anywhere. So it's like the kids are out, it's the summer. They're looking, somebody looks at their watch and goes, hey, Snowie's still open for 15 minutes. Think we can make it? Bam. I will sell 30 to 50 snow cones sometimes between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. Just because people know we're open. It's kind of that last thing of the day. Let's go get a Snowie, what we call it today. So the value of it staying there is it's advertising 24/7. And that's the benefit of it. So there's pros and cons to both. Just know you're having to deal with both issues. The other is I get a lot of people with the bus that say, I love this, but if I have a craving and it's the middle of the afternoon, how am I going to find you? You can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on Facebook. Yeah, but what if you're not near me?
Right.
They always know this there, and the location here, pick yours. It's there noon to 10 every day at any location, and even longer in Cherry Grove.
Yeah. And also a question from Jay talking about the bus. Yeah, well, his question is, you wouldn't need the electrical box, the meter, if you had the bus. And that's correct. You charge your bus up at night, and also the motor charges the bus, and you're able to run that thing completely free of electricity.
Yeah, or even get the little 3,000 watt whisper quiet generator, and it'll give you air conditioning all day too with the bus. Another benefit.
Yeah. Any other questions? We're approaching our hour here. Anybody have a last minute question?
Yeah, can you buy me a new computer, Aaron, so mine will quit crashing?
Yeah, I can help you with that. And then
Jay, the bus, yes, that's the key when you're leaning towards the bus. Should we do the bus versus the building? If you only had one unit, the bus offers you the greatest versatility. I set up a stationary location. I can't do anything else with it. And if that location turns out to be a bad location, now I'm out looking for a new one. With the bus, I don't have to. If the location's bad, I'm gone the next day. I can be anywhere. I can move instantly. It isn't. And if something else comes up, I can drive off and say, okay, I'll lose a little business at the location. And you'll build that following over time at that location. People get used to certain hours, and maybe you say we're going to be here all week and not on weekends. Like we're experimenting with a thing in a downtown location, and we'll only operate that Monday to Friday, and that will be the bus, specifically for that reason. So it does offer you a versatility that a building and a kiosk can't do. So absolutely, you could make the bus work.
right.
Any other questions? Okay, next week we are going to talk a little bit about how to get into events. Our guest speaker is going to be one of the founders of Snowie. It's going to be Gordon Rupp talking, and we're trying to get a couple of other folks on there as well. But Gordon is the master of getting into events, and I'm going to share you some of the approaches and techniques, and we're going to look at ways of finding events, what events are the most successful, what are the things I should be cautious of as we go through that. So we'll talk a little bit about what to look for with them as well with that.
And Lisa came in late, and she just asked a quick question. I'm not sure. Do you find the resort chains accept the Snowie for a location? Are you just speaking of the supermarkets in general? And
yeah, the resort chains, I'm not sure what that means.
That's what I'm wondering as well. Lisa, you actually have audio if you would like to speak. Yeah, I'm not getting that, but my guess is she means the storefronts, and do they accept Snowie overall?
Well, I was thinking more, that's why we clarified, because I was thinking like an arena, not an arena, marina, yeah, for the term. Marinas that have you know, along beaches and waterfronts and that kind of stuff. Or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
You know, yeah, I don't
I guess
know.
we've lost Lisa Tyson. She's ignoring us, or
Oh,
there she is. Sorry, my mic's off of my equipment.
oh, by resort
chain.
hotel. So you were right.
Yeah.
To answer
I've
that,
never
so,
had anybody try to get in by a hotel.
yeah, and we actually have a guy. There's a gentleman named Steve in Hawaii, and he does that. He's in quite a few hotel areas throughout Hawaii. You know, and it's always been easy for him to get in. It all depends on the area, in my opinion. Hotels, I would say, for the most part, hotels don't necessarily know Snowie specifically, but it's very easy to pitch that and make it very professional looking and have them trust it up front. That's my opinion.
Now, I will put a plug for a different approach. I have a couple of hotels that I build a relationship with their catering department, and we come in and use the Snowie machine, and we do lemonade, we do snow cones, or different kinds of events. And we just bring the shaver in and some flavoring and that kind of stuff, and do some small business. You know, it's not our big main equipment. We're bringing it indoors, setting it on a table and making stuff, or we use it with a Snowie umbrella cart is what we use most often with a countertop flavor station. So there's another way of, you know, kind of off the wall, but another way of using or benefiting with hotels. Catering departments use all kinds of things like that.
Cool. Okay. Anybody else? Last minute?
Yes, I have one final question. There was a lease that you guys put on the screen, and a packet of paperwork. How did you say we would go about getting that packet of paperwork?
I'm not sure if it's the one that I put up. Lyle, did you put up a specific lease? Yeah, that was your lease agreement, correct?
I didn't have a link. Are you talking the one when I was pulling up and looking at the different forms?
Yes, that one.
Okay, that's the one I had, Aaron. I pulled up.
Whoa.
Okay, got an echo there. I put out on our transfer file, I created a file called webinar stationary locations, and I stuck in there all the forms and pictures that we use today. So the answer to your question is you can email myself or Aaron and let us know what forms you are interested in, and we can send that to you. We are looking at one of the things we're working on. If you don't belong to the Snowie forum on our website, go out and sign up for it. What we're going to be doing is we're working with some of our website people to find a way that you can go into the forum and go in and access those forms and download them and make it fast and simple. But we're not there yet, so for the moment, what we want you to do is email me. My email address is lyle@snowie.com. I'm going to type that in the screen. If I can type, there we are. Just lyle@snowie.com, and tell me what you're looking for, which forms, and I can send those off to you. Not a big deal.
And I just put,
Okay, thank you.
And I just put
You're
mine
welcome.
up as well, Aaron@snowie.com. Okay. I think we'll pull it to a close. Thank you once again, everybody.
Real quick, Aaron, before we
Yeah.
jump off.
Yep.
You know, we got the next couple of weeks planned out. We're obviously getting into events next week. We thought after that we would talk about the managing side, how to find and train employees, how to manage events, how do I open it, what do I look for as I'm running it during the day, also with buildings. How do I do deliveries? What should I be stocking it with? Those kind of things. So that's a number of them in there. But what other ideas do you have? What would you like to see? We don't have a lock on brains, and we'll be pulling other people in to help us with a lot of these things. But we're just trying to hit topics that we hear all the time, but what are things you would like that we don't have or that we haven't addressed so far? And that's why I want to give you just our next couple of them. So any suggestions or ideas from folks? Either get on and speak or type it in so we have some ideas. If not, email us. Speak or say, hey, we'd love to see something here. If not, email us. Hey, we'd love to see something here.
One question I had was, if you don't have a lot of capital starting out, what would be the least expensive way to get started, just to get your foot in the door, and then gain more capital to build upon that and get like a larger booth and be able to market yourself a little bit better? But what's the least expensive way that we could get started? That would be one of my questions.
And I'll address that one real quick right now. Aaron?
Yeah.
Whoever's getting the echo.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. The least expensive way is literally to just get a shaver and some serving bottles. You can get a 1,000 shaver and serving bottles and work from a tent. The next step up would be add the umbrella cart. Now, with each of those, the challenge you're going to have is you got to have a 3-sink system for wash, rinse, sanitize, and a hand wash. So you got to put that on a table behind you. You know, it's not going to do as well. It's not going to drag the attention in. The umbrella cart helps with that. It gets people out there. The next step up is looking at a cart like Aaron has on the screen right now. So you can start with just a machine, but keep adding a piece as the dollars justify that. I got a number of people that started with just a 1,000 shaver and serving bottles, and then they added a countertop flavor station, and then they added the umbrella cart, and they were generating, and then they started using the umbrella cart. In the wintertime, they use it all the time for sporting events, basketball, wrestling, those kind of things that are inside schools. And then they ended up buying either a 5-foot cart or a kiosk to use in the summer to travel around with. So yes, you can get in this business and be up and running for a couple of $1,000s.
I wanted to ask you a follow-up question on that, Lyle. How did they start out with just a shaver and flavors? Did they already have a storefront? Were they basically just sitting out in front of a storefront they already owned? Like, to me, if it was me, I didn't have any other storefront and I was looking at getting into it, I wouldn't know what I could do with a shaver and just flavors, because everywhere I go requires that I have a water system and all that. So if you want to expand on that just a hair.
Well, and I was my thoughts with that. Honestly, I've never even thought about a storefront. Because usually I've got somebody there that has a business and their financing a little easier. So getting started, events is the way to go. You can go to, like I said, you can just have a little tent. The 3-sink system, literally, depends on your state. You need to look into it. Like here in Ohio, all I got to have is 3 water little containers and put water in each of them for the washer and sanitize, and then I got a 5-gallon jug with a spigot and a bucket under it to wash my hands. That's all I need. Now I can literally set up on a table. So I get a 6-foot table and I put a shaver on one end, or even a 4-foot table with serving bottles that you just fill the bottles and pour the flavors on for the snow cone. And you can go to football games, you can go to soccer games, you can go, like I said, in the wintertime into basketball and volleyball, wrestling matches. I know people that, and they make as much money in the winter at basketball and wrestling as they do in the summer with soccer. I mean, it amazes me how much business they do.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Did we answer your question? I'm assuming yes. I'm talking to her.
I muted her. Sorry, you're back, Oscar. Okay.
Any other questions? No. Again, feel free to send us an email. Drop a note. Let us know what you'd like to see.
No, that's what I was thinking. The tent and the tables until we able. Then he said go up to a countertop table station or umbrella cart, And he said you make just as much money going to events with that.
Yeah, it's, you know, obviously when you start getting bigger crowds, those numbers will build.
So, sorry, I don't mean to keep muting you, but we get a lot of feedback from it. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us again. Look forward to seeing you same day, same time, same place.
We have Jay and Lisa back again. Sorry, you're it never goes into our recording. For some reason, they don't record everyone's faces. So I wish we could put it on there. Thanks for coming. And Jay's still vertical.
Hey, Jane, where are you guys from?
Oh, you're muted. Hang on a minute.
Okay, yeah,
Aaron?
we live in Denver.
You live in Denver.
I told you, Aaron.
Yeah, we're in Denver.
Okay.
So we have a very short summer.
And we have
Yeah, you're probably about like we are in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
I can do
probably.
events in middle of April. My season's really May through middle of August.
Yeah, middle of August,
Or,
maybe
sorry,
September.
Middle of September. Sorry, I don't know why I said August.
Yeah, we can actually get
can
snow
build it.
here, and we can actually get snow here in May.
Okay, yours is shorter.
But we're really looking forward to it. I think we are leaning more towards the bus, though, primarily because it's going to be mostly me setting up and running it, and I think that'll be easier for me physically.
great. Yeah, we
Cool.
have. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm going to bow out, Aaron. I think we're done.
Okay. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for coming.
See you next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.